This is Supreme Synergy's The Red Pill. It's the Matrix Maze Escape Map, where I'm going to show you the 3 major Matrix mousetraps that you must avoid if you're going to have an epic life. And it might be a matter of time. You could probably figure this out on your own. I did, but it took me a long time, and I don't want you to take a long time figuring this out. I want you to find it quick and get through it so you can start having more fun and moving on to the next levels of this game, this infinite game of consciousness. So, save decades of your life. Learn from my mistakes, right? The first part, and I've already drawn this out because I actually did a video and it wasn't recording, so I'm just going to breeze through it because that's awesome. It'll be a lot quicker. The last one was pretty slow because I was drawing things out and I was being a little long-winded. So, the quick little story I'm going to start with is that I've lived an amazing life, but the thing is, it started out quite unexpected. I was born inside of a cage, but there was a problem. This wasn't a normal cage. The cage was invisible. You're like, what? You were born in Yes, I was born in an invisible cage. This cage, I couldn't taste it, smell it, or touch it. It was a cage for my mind, a cage for my soul. And on second thought, actually, the cage might have been a lot easier to escape if it was just invisible. Instead of it being invisible, it was actually hidden in plain sight. And everyone trapped inside of it, they praised it. They were supporting the cage. So if you tried to attack it, if you're like, hey, I think there's a cage here that we're stuck in, they'd just hold it up and they'd be like, no. And they'd hit you and they'd be like, stop hitting the bars. Just stay there. And I'm like, what? So this cage turned out to be religion. I've got the truth here in the middle, and it juts off into 2 sides. So on the right-hand side, we've got dark religion. That's the first mousetrap. And dark religion says it's a type of dogma. And it says that they've got a special holy book and that their book is right and all others are wrong. It's a form of spiritual fanaticism. It believes that there's some form of a sky daddy and that sky daddy, that God, is not here, not now. It's not directly available to you. But if you're a good boy or a good girl for the sky daddy, following the sky daddy's rules, one day, through your good deeds and through salvation, because you're fundamentally broken, just like original sin, through that salvation, you might end up making it to heaven, where then, at that later time, in that later location, or separate, different location, you will be having a communion with God. And I'm here to let you know that that is total fucking bullshit. So, moving on, before we give the kind of answer to this, of like, what's the truth? What's in the middle here? Let's move on to the second part, because I grew up cradle Catholic, and this was the cage I grew up in. And I was so confused, because like I heard this from people I knew, loved, and trust. I heard it from my parents. I heard it from school teachers. I heard it from priests. These are all people in positions of authority that were supposed to know what was going on. So as a child, I'm like, okay, they know what's going on. They're an adult. They got shit figured out, right? That's so cool. They get to tell me the answers. Like, this is like cheating on a test. They're going to tell me, but no, they put me in a mousetrap. But it's not really their fault. Guess what? They were put in the same mousetrap. They were born into it. Their parents, their priests, their teachers all told them the same thing. So we just pass it on. Unless we watch videos like this, right? Unless we ask questions, unless we challenge our own belief systems and look outside the box, look outside the cage, and you start developing discernment to say what is true and what is not true. The second Matrix mousetrap is the dark science one. It's scientific materialism. And it basically says, top line, you're just matter. Nothing really matters. It's all relative and everything's going to be dust. So, You don't have any true significance. And what's the cosmology? Because I actually didn't review the cosmology for Dark Religion. Dark Religion says that there was the Sky Daddy. He was up in the clouds, and one day he just waves his hands and poof, he creates creation. And what does that do? It creates some fundamental schism between us and God, right? There's this bridge. There's this schism. And that's the thing, is that fundamentally all of these mousetraps, they create a schism, a polarization, and disconnection, essentially. And when we use a map for the outer world, that has this schism, guess what? It has a reflection in our inner world. So we are fundamentally disconnected because we're using disconnected maps. Dark science, their cosmology, instead of it being the creator creating this creation, theirs is that there was nothing, right? And then boom, all of a sudden there was a big bang. And all of the energy and the matter in the universe came into existence. And that happens through randomness. It's just random. And then that energy and matter over here, we go track it over here, it, through randomness, through random interactions, all of a sudden makes life. Like over trillions, billions of years, life emerges. And then we go over here again, boom. Life, through, again, you guessed it, random genetic mutation, eventually turns into brains. So the star player here, randomness. And again, it's nihilistic. It's just, you're a special arrangement of neurons, right? Special configuration. That's how you're conscious. That's how you're self-aware. That is the narrative of the dark science. And you're just stardust. And this is all true to an extent, but it's true about your physical body. It's about the human aspect of you. So religion, dark religion, basically says that the spirit, the God is outside of you. It's something else. It's the creator separated from his creation. The dark science here on the left says basically there's no spirit. You're just matter. So these are the two traps. First, you start out and you're broken and you're separated from God and you need salvation. The second one is that's all just rubbish and children's stories about Sky Daddy. You're actually, there's no such thing as spirit. It's just matter, and you don't matter. Everything's just kind of random. So what I've come to find, I went to college in China. I became atheistic after growing up cradle Catholic. I rejected religion. I was like, it's all silly stories. And then I became an atheist, feeling like, I found the answer. This is so logical. It is objective. You can be from any culture and use science. It's not like you were just born into it. And science challenges science. So it's got this self-correcting mechanism. Unlike religion, where it just protects its holy books and it says, hey, don't challenge us. Science seems to invite challenge. So I thought this is the bee's knees. This is so cool. I am a science-minded person. I'm scientific leaning. I'm logical and rational, and I'm getting rid of all that silly stuff. But later I realized I tossed out the baby with the bathwater. What was the baby? The baby was the spirit. Baby was realizing there's something more than life to matter and randomness. And part of that open-mindedness was seeded by just the intellectual exploration of the psychedelic experience. Looking at trip stories and listening to Terence McKenna going over people's experiences and the different realms they would go to. And I was blown away. I'm like, how is this all happening in someone's head as a result of neurons firing a different way after they've ingested a chemical? Like, on one hand, if there's no spirit, this is absolutely insane that we can have these experiences with certain plant medicines or chemicals. I'm like, what? This is just trippy. And then with the open-mindedness, I'm like, well, maybe there's something more than matter. Maybe there's something underlying this that's connecting people when they have shared experiences and they're having a similar trip report. It's something beyond just a common phenomenology. Maybe there's something like two islands that are connected underwater, right? You look at two islands and you're like, oh, they're just separate. But they actually have a landmass right here connecting them. So that's the thought that started to emerge. I started to entertain that there's something fundamental that was beyond matter, that animated matter. And so that's when I was really getting closer to the ether. And I discovered it from people like Nikola Tesla and realized that a lot of the ancient cultures actually had ether at the center of their spiritual understanding. So I went over some words that we can use to talk about the ether and the original Trinity. So we've got, like, we could call it God the Father is the actual principle, the ether at rest. It's undisturbed, and it's not a thing. It is not a thing at all. It's just pure subjectivity. It's just the pure potential, and it's the eye of the observer. So when Moses asked, who should I say sent me? When God was telling him to go to the Pharaoh, to tell him, hey, let my people go, God replied to Moses saying, just tell him I am sent you. Right? That's the perfect answer. It's pure subjectivity. It's pure principle. And then there's Shiva. In terms of a Hindu perspective, the terminology, Shiva represents consciousness. I used awareness here, though, because we're going to use consciousness for the interplay between the two. So if we go from God the Father down to the bottom here to the attribute, we've got the Divine Mother, Mother Nature. And this is everything that has attributes, everything that's describable, everything that you can point to, everything that you can measure. This is the realm of science. Science is obsessed with Mother Nature, measuring her. And in the Hindu terminology, it'd be Shakti, which is energy. But we would say energy in motion because you might call the principle up above pure energy at rest. So that's why I put in motion. Now we look at the interplay between these two and we call it consciousness, right? Because consciousness is actually something that is the interaction of two things. And by things, I don't mean things, but because the ether is not a thing. But the point is, it's the principle, the observer, pure subject, interacting with the object. And this creates the divine child, right? This creates Jesus in the narrative. And Jesus, if you look at other spiritual traditions and mythologies, there's similar characters throughout all the major world religions. So I just want to zoom in here too. Velcro is this cool analogy for what consciousness is, because find me one thing called Velcro. You can't. It's impossible. That's what I wrote right here. You cannot find one thing, because Velcro is actually two things. That's right, it's two things. It's hooks and loops. And Velcro is not just static. You can't have a hook and a loop sitting there on the table and call it Velcro, because Velcro is something that attaches. The hook goes onto the loop and then it also detaches. That's the beauty of Velcro. So the point is, it's dynamic. It's not static. And this would be like an in-breath and an out-breath. So this is consciousness. And Yahweh, I've heard a translation being that it means the great flow, which is so cool, so epic. That just describes exactly what I'm going to be going over here. So when we have going out from the pure principle, an emanation, a flowing forth, that would be an efflux or a discharge. It's magnetic, it's explosive, it's the out breath. And then it comes around when it is returning back to the source, it would be a reflux, it'd be a charge, it'd be the dielectric, it'd be implosive and increasing dielectric, because both of these are dielectric. The magnetic is a form of, it's like, I love the analogy of this movement back to source would be like freezing. It'd be like water turning into an ice cube. And then on the other side here, it would be like water vaporizing or thawing, the ice cube thawing. So, and then it's the in-breath. So as far as the Tai Chi symbol, we've got the yang right here. We've got the yin right here. And yang, you can see, I've put again, magnetic out-breath. The yin, dielectric in-breath. So this is the cosmic tantra, you might call it. The universal tantra. And tantra just refers to like the divine sexual play between the masculine and the feminine. And then the ether, the wuji, is what gives rise to it all. It is the water that is being waved up and down. You might call the up magnetic and the down dielectric. The up out breath, the down wave in breath. So they all are the water itself, which is the ether, which in Taoism is the wuji. And then here I put another one. You can draw it differently where this doesn't really have a center point pictured here in this traditional yin-yang symbol. So you can have the transcendental center, because it's not actually a thing. It's transcendent. In the middle, and then the out-breath going in both directions. It's bidirectional. And then the in-breath coming back in. So the third, if that's the first two, you got these two mousetraps of dark religion and dark science. The third one is dark commerce. And here's the simple matrix, the chart that breaks down how I've experienced it. You've got your heart on one axis and your head on another. The heart is inner alignment. It's intrinsic motivation. The head is extrinsic motivation. It's strategy that's effective. It's going to get you money. So here, the first one, we call it the shitty zone or the supreme slave zone. It's because you have, I'll put it here. You have no heart and you got no money. It's pretty shitty. Then you might upgrade. You might go into here, and that's where you'll have a heart. You'll be a struggling artist. Heart, but no money, right? And then you might upgrade. Maybe you'll go from a shitty slave to the golden shackles, or you'll go from struggling artist to golden shackles. This isn't a one-way roadmap. This is just to figure out where you are on the roadmap and then get to this upper corner here. But first, the golden shackles, as you probably guessed it, it's when you make a lot of money, but you have no heart. So you're not fulfilled. This one, you were just broke. So you were not happy because your bank account was not happy. It puts stress on your relationships and your everyday living and pursuing your dreams. It made it hard. This other one, you're so busy doing someone else's dreams, right? You're not doing your own dreams. You're making lots of money. You're going on fun trips. You might have a cool car. You might have beautiful women you're able to go on dates with, very expensive dates, and travel a lot. But there's something missing fundamentally at the core of your being that screams and yells out and says, is this all there is? And it's not. That's where you can actually go into the top right corner, which we call supreme synergy, where you can have the awards, right? You can have the recognition and the status. You can be successful and competent up there with achievement. And you can get a lot of money. And it's going to be fulfilling. So there's this idea that there's a rat race, right, that you got to escape from. And that's kind of like down here, these two. Can't really see it. Let me draw a different one. That's like this and this, right? And so we were like, yo, get out of the rat race. But it's also this, if you think about it. And you might make a lot of money and you've escaped the rat race because you aren't just stuck paying bills. Like you can travel, you have freedom of time, you can do some stuff. But Andrew Tate, I've seen, he talks about, escape the matrix, make more money, and so you can have more cars, women, and travel. But for me, it seems like it's just this upgraded form of the golden shackles. It's like you go further this way and you're making more and more money. You're being more and more strategic, right, with how you use your time to make money to get leverage, but you're missing the heart. So that's why I see it as an upgraded form of one type of matrix mousetrap within the dark commerce mousetrap. So true success right here would be achievement, which is the head, effective strategy where you make money, you're abundant, and fulfillment where you're using your heart and you have a ton of intrinsic motivation, you have a ton of flow. And the beautiful part is these feed on each other. This creates a beautiful feedback loop. You're going to be performing your best in a zone of genius that is aligned with your heart. And so the whole point is up here, they presented it as you got to be either religious or scientific, right? You either don't believe in those silly stories in that holy book of yours, or wait, I said that funny. I was like, I think they do position it as you can be scientific and religious and whatnot, but my point is that there's a schism here where these two fundamentally are warring with each other. It's either this book is right and there's something transcendent, there's something ultimate like a creator, or nothing matters and it's just matter. And there's actually a middle path, and that's bridged by the ether, and that's spiritual science. It's to say that at the core of our being is this transcendent self. So all of us are God in a sense. We all are that I am presence. And there is a science to it, actually. It's just that, and I'll go into this more later, but it's just that the ether is so empowering as a science to be able to understand that. Like, that's how the UFO propulsion works. That's how free energy works. And as far as religion, so that'd be like the science scary part right here. The religious scary part is that religion is a middleman. And when you can cut out the middlemen in any business, that is not good for the business. You could have a direct connection to God. You don't need them to interpret for you and read the holy book and tell you what it means. They lose out on business. So spiritual science is that middle path. It's the golden path that cuts through it, goes right down the middle, and it takes the best of both sides. It takes the science and it takes to spirituality. And we'll be going into more of the ancient Egyptian energy science that has been rediscovered and been refined. I don't know about refined, but it's being rediscovered. I think the ancient Egyptians had an incredible understanding of this. So it's basically like Jedi science. And we're going to go into that more and more and more. And then the third part is we're going to be going into digital, basically being a digital entrepreneur and how to get into this supreme synergy top right corner so that you can be a Jedi that makes a lot of money doing what they love. That is the goal here. I'll put in here. Be an ether Jedi. That makes a lot of money. And helps a lot of people. Doing what they love. So that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I love giving this presentation for you. These are the secrets that took me decades to fully figure out everything, and I'm still working on this one right here. That's what this whole venture is about. It's making an impact that's meaningful on something that I truly think is worthwhile. It's in that top right corner. So, and I can't wait to show you guys how to be Jedi. Like, the science is incredible. So this is going to be a holistic approach to living your best life ever, surpassing all your limits. And part of surpassing limits, how do we surpass limits? First, we got to see them. If we can't see our limits first, it's hard to transcend them. So that's what Supreme Synergy is about. It's to show you guys the roadmap, help you speed up time and surpass me. That's the goal. If I'm a good teacher, you're going to go way above and beyond where I'm at. And I'm excited to see that. So I'll cut it off here. Looking forward to sending you guys another great video that's going to be sharing some more secrets that I've discovered in my journey.